Welcome in, everyone, and thank you for listening to the 320th episode of the Missouri Sports Podcast. Brought to you by 106 Apparel, recording from the MSP studio in beautiful Springfield, Missouri. I'm one of your hosts, Cameron Albert, alongside my good friend and fellow Mizzou fan, Kyle DeVries. How you doing today, Kyle?
Cameron, I've been a little bit sick. I've been a little bit ill recently, and not in a good way. But I'm gonna get through it.
Kyle was a game time decision to be able to record this podcast episode, and
I'm doing it for you. I'm doing it for you two.
Yeah,
I'm doing it for everybody listening.
Thank you.
A la Brady Cook, unless you're in the hospital or dead, you're gonna record an episode.
Exactly. Brady Cook inspired me.
Yeah.
Probably gonna cough. Probably gonna sniffle my nose a little bit, but we're gonna get through it.
You got a pile of cough drops next to you.
Yes,
you got some water.
I've got like 3 cough drops in my mouth right now.
There we go. A steady stream of cough drops and we'll be fine. Kyle, Mizzou did not play football last week. It was a bye week. Play Oklahoma this week. There was a basketball game we're going to talk about. We might try to keep this one a little bit short just to not exhaust your throat muscles completely. So,
you're going to need them for Saturday.
That's true.
I'm going to be screaming at the top of my lungs.
Yep. You need your voice. Need your voice for that. So before we get into all of that, don't forget to subscribe on YouTube. Leave us a review wherever you listen to us. And I want to give a nice little shout out to B Douglas 598, who just left us a really nice YouTube review or YouTube comment. Just, he was appreciative of the show. Sad to hear that it's ending. And we appreciate you, B Douglas. Thanks for listening. Kyle, let's start with basketball. Mizzou basketball lost to Memphis 83-75. And that marks a 20-game losing streak for the Missouri Tigers.
Man, this was such a frustrating experience. Like, I was so all in. Like after the first half. Wow, I'm dying over here. So is producer Karen. Okay, I was all in on Missouri basketball again. After the first half,
of course.
And they broke my heart.
Yeah.
In the second half, I don't know what was going on. I felt like Memphis really didn't feel that threatening.
No.
In the first half. The young guys from Mizzou were like stepping up, making exciting plays. It was just like everything I wanted to see was happening in that first half.
It felt like we were even getting like, oh yeah, we kind of know what we have. You think we would know what we have with some of the transfers and some of the upperclassmen, but then to see Trent Pierce come out and put up double digits in the first half, for Aiden Shaw to come out and play well offensively, make a 3, and be all over the place on defense in the first half. It was like, okay, well, if we're getting this elevated production from these guys that we weren't really expecting to have to rely on a ton, then we're in business here. Mm-hmm. Then in the second half, the rotations get all wonky. I mean, Pierce didn't come back in this. Pierce played a lot in the first half, didn't come back in the game until 7 minutes left in the second half. Meanwhile, Caleb Grill, one of those veterans that you think you're going to be relying on for consistent production, he showed up for 28 minutes and provided 4 points, went 0 for 4 from 3, had 5 turnovers and just one rebound. So, the second half was just such a polar opposite of the first. The turnovers were way up, assists were way down. They had fewer steals in the second half. There were still some bright spots. I mean, Anthony Robinson, 16 points, 7 assists, 3 steals, just 1 turnover. Got to the free throw line, actually made the free throws. Well, he missed a couple of them, but I think he was 7 of 9. Yeah,
free throws were definitely a problem for everybody. Trent Pierce was, like I said, probably one of the most exciting players in the first half. He barely played in the second half until the game was almost out of reach.
Yeah. Marquez Warwick, 7 minutes.
Yeah, I barely feel like I even noticed him on the floor.
Yeah. A weird aspect that something that I thought was weird, Jacob Cruz basically doesn't play. Then they check him in. I think he had logged 1 minute, and then they sub him in the second half after Mizzou had kind of it had been a roller coaster already. Mizzou was up double digits. Memphis storms back, takes a double-digit lead themselves. Mizzou cuts it to single digits. I think maybe the lead was only like 4. And Jacob Cruz comes in and just immediately bricks a 3. Immediately gets subbed back out. He played 2 minutes.
I think I'd like to explore that a little bit more with Jacob Cruz. Honestly, like I think he could be like kind of a high upside player. Like he's a big dude. He's got a nice looking shot, but that was not the time.
Yeah.
That was not the time to do that experiment.
Yeah. And it's just it's something we're going to have to get used to, I think, because when you have like 12 guys that could in theory contribute, you can't play all of them every night. Mm-hmm. You shouldn't really even be playing 10 every night, probably. I don't know. It makes me want to go back and look at like the last 6 years of like Final Four teams and see like how deep are their benches really going? Like when was the last time a team made a deep March run to the Final Four regularly playing 10 guys? I guess the only thing I can think is like you want to get these guys experience and see what they're doing against good competition in Memphis because it's going to be some cupcakes coming up. If a guy goes down to injury like what happened last year, you want to have depth and guys that are, that have been tested that can come in and contribute.
Yeah,
but I think
like that rhythm though in the starting lineup is it's just more important than mixing and matching guys as much as they do it.
Yeah, still super early though. Obviously, just one game, but the stark difference between the first half to the second half was just like a little bit. Oh, okay, here we go again. The 20-game losing streak. But that'll end because the next 2 games on the schedule are against Howard and Eastern Washington. Howard's 227 in KenPom. Eastern Washington is 286. So there's 2 wins.
Yeah. It's a low bar to clear, but this team's clearly going to be a lot better than they were last year. But man, that would have been really nice if they could have, I don't know. I guess it was just a bizarre way to have your first game of the season play out.
Yep, to look so good and then look so bad. And for it to be a game that, like, if you're every single year, you're expecting to be in contention for the NCAA tournament, beating Memphis in the first game of the season would have been nice to look back on, most likely. I think Memphis is they've got a lot of new pieces as well that they're going to figure it out and be a pretty good team this year, I think. Moving on to football. Let me see here. What do I want to go here? Let's just, I'll let you pick, Kyle. Do you want to jump into Oklahoma talk, or do you want me to give my defense of Eli Drinkwitz? You ready to hear that?
I want to hear it.
Okay. Basically, the last few weeks, like getting blown out again in a big game against Oklahoma or against Alabama.
I better not be foreshadowing.
No. Getting blown out by Alabama, like how bad Drew Pine looked, and then during the bye week, like I found, probably a lot of people listening to this were watching South Carolina A&M. South Carolina at home, really incredible environment. They're wearing their all blacks. And they just destroy Texas A&M. Like they have a moment, and I'm sitting there jealous of South Carolina. And probably every Mizzou fan that was watching that game is like, wow, here's Shane Beamer in South Carolina having this moment, upsetting top 10 Texas A&M.
It's not the comeback I expected with Shane Beamer.
No. And it's just like, I'm just right there with most Mizzou fans and feeling incredibly, it's just not a good feeling to be sitting there being jealous of South Carolina in a moment that they're having. And both of those big blowout losses for Mizzou so far have been on the road. So we haven't really had the in front of the home fans opportunity to really show up.
Vanderbilt.
Well, yeah. We haven't completely blown one of those opportunities, like the road opportunities. But basically, a lot of people are down on Coach Drinkwitz right now, I feel like. And I just think there's a lot of overreacting happening, and I've got 3 points to make that I think warrant chilling out a little bit on Coach Drink. Yes, the offense has, again, looked inexcusably bad at times this year, consistently. There's been some injuries, so like all of that aside, still 6-2 this year with a lot to play for. But when I think about Eli Drinkwitz, obviously everybody thinks about recruiting, but I wanted to look a little bit deeper into that. And so I went on 247.com, 247sports.com, and their recruiting database that goes all the way back to 2004, they make it real easy to see the all-time recruit rankings for the Missouri Tigers for any team. And so when you click on that and you look at the top recruits all time on that website for Missouri, obviously number 1 is DGB. Number 2 is Luther Burden. Number 3 is Williams Nwaneri. Number 6 is 2025 commit Lamont Rogers. Number 9 is 2025 commit Matt Zollers. So right there, you have 4 of the top 10 all-time recruits to come to Mizzou are Eli Drinkwitz recruits. So I went a little deeper, and 21 of the top 45 all-time recruits for Mizzou are Eli Drinkwitz commits. Even further, 41 of the top 100, going back to 2004, 41 of the top 100 Mizzou commits are Eli Drinkwitz recruits.
That's crazy.
So when people talk about Eli Drinkwitz recruiting at a level at Mizzou that we haven't seen before, like that's real.
Yeah.
And it's not just that he gets like a 5-star every once in a while. That we're seeing a new level of getting a handful of 4 stars, maybe double-digit 4-star recruits year in, year out. And when you stack classes like that, that's what puts you in position to maybe pop off for a double-digit win season and maybe be in contention moving forward for the college football playoff. That's just the recruiting piece of it.
Yeah, I think it says a lot that it's not just like the occasional 5-star player. It's not just the occasional DGB or the Terry Beckner Jr. or Drew Lock or whatever it is, but it's that he's the entire class that he's polling right now is like at a higher level that we've seen. So it doesn't surprise me that he's put up better numbers like recruiting wise than we've ever seen probably, but that's pretty impressive.
Yeah. Yeah. And like, all right, it's not going to surprise anybody that we know the names, but when you look at that list, like I bet it does surprise people that Lamont Rogers is the 6th highest rated recruit in the history of Mizzou on 247 Sports.
That's surprising to me.
Right. So I don't know. I just feel like I do not want that to go away anytime soon. And I realize that a lot of that is NIL related, but I'll get to that in a sec. Next point I have is obviously on field. You need those recruits to eventually, those teams to eventually produce wins and, keep the fans excited. And I feel like with Coach Drinkwitz going 6-6 3 years in a row, or 5-5 the first year, and not winning a bowl game, like I don't know, that margin of error right there. You just take 2 losses from one of those 500 seasons, and take 2 wins away from one of those and give it to another season. That's like what Gary Pinkel did early on. He had like a 4-win season and then an 8-win season instead of 2 6-6 seasons. Mm-hmm. So I feel like you're really like splitting hairs there if you're trying to like overanalyze, the success early on. But last year with getting 11 wins and a Cotton Bowl victory in year 4, for Eli Drinkwitz, Gary Pinkel literally did that, but in year 7. Won the Cotton Bowl over Arkansas to finish out an 11-win season. And Pinkel did not have a double-digit win season before that. The best he had before that was 8 wins. And, however, Pinkel did win an Independence Bowl before the Cotton Bowl. So, I don't know. With the de-emphasis on non like major bowl appearances and like the COVID season and stuff, I just feel like last year's season, there's just no reason this soon after an 11-win campaign to be talking like this, especially when the current squad is still 6-2,
right,
and has a chance at another 11 wins. Really,
yeah. I think we're being prisoners of the moment a little bit on that, and it's definitely just the expectations.
Yes, yes.
If we didn't win 11 games last year,
right,
we were probably not being as harsh as
exactly.
we've been. And not only, yes, we have lost 2 games, but both times we've lost, it's been like horrible experiences.
Yes.
So that definitely doesn't help.
Right. Yeah. And that is, the recency bias a little bit. That's totally understandable. And my last point in favor of Eli Drinkwitz is I feel like he is a genuine advocate for the players. And we have seen how he's able to use the NIL rules, lobby for those with the Missouri government. And I feel like he's our best shot at having a guy running the program who players obviously want to rally around. And the way he talks and sticks up for his players in press conferences, the way he deals with player injuries. I even remember, I even think back to like Tyler Beatty not playing in that bowl game and how Coach Drinkwitz talked about that. He's just always mindful of, can this reflect poorly on the player? And if that's possible, I'm not going to let that happen. He just seems to always be thinking about that. And I want as player-friendly a coach as we can get in the NIL era, especially when it seems like contracts and maybe even collective bargaining are in the future for college athletics. I want a guy who has proven time and time again that he's an actual advocate for the players.
Yeah, I think you nailed it on that one for sure. And he understands the big picture. And while he maybe doesn't always say the most logical thing ever, but he still always has the players top of mind. And it seems genuine. I don't think it's just like, scope or, I don't think he's just trying to look good or something like that. I think it really seems genuine. I love that he loves how much Brady Cook adores Missouri.
Yes.
Hopefully that you follow all that.
Yeah.
Like Brady Cook loves Missouri. And I think that's one thing that Coach loves so much about him. He puts on for his school, his home state. And I think Coach really respects that about him. And therefore that kind of sends this message to me that Coach Drinkwitz really cares about Mizzou as well.
Yes.
And it's like this spider web of loving Mizzou. And that I can stand for.
Absolutely. And and to your point, like about him not always saying the right thing, but it seems like he has the players in mind. Like we know he doesn't care about looking goofy or not making sense to the fans or the media, or even like he got clowned on a little bit for the stand on business, Josh, but he did that for his defensive players. Like he wanted to go out there and send that message on behalf of his players. Mm-hmm. And so, I mean, he does not look bad in that locker room.
Right. Yeah, he's a good leader.
So that's my case.
Okay.
That's my case for sticking up for Eli Drinkwitz. Now, with that being said, there are 4 games left on this schedule. They're all winnable. They are all a little scary.
Games we might be favored in, all of them, maybe?
Well, we're 0-1 right now because Oklahoma has snuck ahead, I believe.
Oh, wow.
In the betting markets.
Okay.
Maybe
I thought it would have been South Carolina.
That'll
maybe happen too.
Yeah. With maybe Brady Cook being questionable or doubtful or whatever he'll be on the actual injury report. I think maybe that is affecting the betting lines a bit. But and I wanted to say all this stuff about Drinkwitz now because if they go 0-4 to close out the season and finish the regular season 6-6, I still believe all that stuff that I just said.
Yeah.
And if they go 4-0 down the stretch and have 10 regular season wins, then I'm going to look like I really know what I'm talking about. But I really do think I agree with all that stuff either way.
Yeah, no, I think good points were made. And yeah, I think we got to step back a little bit and just look at the bigger picture. And I think Coach Drinkwitz has done a lot of great things at Mizzou. And we're in a weird spot right now, but it's maybe not as weird as we feel like it is.
Yeah. Yeah. But I don't know. I feel like it might only get weirder because we just go ahead and get into the Oklahoma game. But I have a feeling we are in for some ugly football down the stretch.
Yeah.
And it starts this weekend.
Starts right now.
Yeah.
Starts last weekend, 2 weekends ago.
Yeah. Yeah. There's been some ugly football this year. And Oklahoma comes to town. They are 5-4 on the season, 1-4 in SEC play. They have wins over Temple, Houston, Tulane, and their lone SEC win over Auburn. They beat Auburn 27-21. They lost to Tennessee, Texas, South Carolina, and Ole Miss. They've gone back and forth on which quarterback they want to start this year. Jackson Arnold, obviously the former 5-star recruit, took over and started the season, had a rough go of it a little bit. Michael Hawkins, true freshman, came in, kind of like a dual threat quarterback, maybe single threat quarterback. Not much of a passing game with Michael Hawkins under center, but he started playing pretty poorly. They did win a couple games with him, but Jackson Arnold comes back, and he's a starter again. He's thrown for 1,100 yards, 12 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions this year. He's also rushed 91 times, has 3 touchdowns on the ground. And he is a former 5-star recruit. He's a true sophomore, and he's going to be the starter this weekend.
Yeah, I definitely feel like Jackson Arnold gives Oklahoma the best chance to win. I'm honestly pretty surprised they ever benched him in the first place.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he was the top of the top as far as like high school talent.
Mm-hmm.
He's not a small guy. He's 6'1", 210, really quick release. Like you said, he's good on the ground too. So he maybe has disappointed. Obviously he's disappointed in the eyes of Oklahoma fans, but I definitely think that he presents a bigger challenge.
Yeah, this Oklahoma team all around has been a pretty big disappointment for Oklahoma fans this year, already having 4 losses and being 1-4 in conference play. The last 2 SEC games that Jackson Arnold has started, I thought this was interesting. Against South Carolina, he logged 17 rushes for negative 29 yards. And against Ole Miss, 24 rushes for 39 yards. So an improvement, but still 24 rushes. He also threw the ball like 21 times. But and they're trying to get him involved in a read option, QB draw. He's also their offensive line is pretty terrible. So the play's breaking down and he's just trying to make something out of nothing a lot. They have given up 39 sacks this year.
Yeah, their O-line is awful.
That is a lot.
They need Caden Green.
Yeah, he'd probably help. Yeah, so I just feel like this Oklahoma offense is just not that good. Their offensive line is not good. Jackson Arnold isn't as true sophomore Jackson Arnold this year is not good enough to beat a team on his own with a lackluster offensive line. They've also don't have the weapons that they want. Their leading receiver is J.J. Hester.
Old friend alert.
Yeah, so shout out to him. But I think when he transferred to Oklahoma, they probably were not anticipating him at any point being their number 1 target. So I don't know. I just think this Oklahoma offense doesn't scare me. Will they be able to pop off for a big play a couple times in this game? Most likely. But with the way Missouri's defense has been able to stop the run against much better offensive lines, and with the way they showed up early in the Alabama game, I feel like they'll be able to get after Jackson Arnold, sack him a few times, maybe force a fumble, a bad throw that gets picked off.
Yeah, if we see that Missouri defense that showed up in the first quarter of the Alabama game, We're going to see a very low-scoring game.
Yeah.
Yeah. They were playing super well.
And Oklahoma's defense is solid.
Yeah.
They have 29 sacks on defense, and they've allowed the 4th fewest rushing yards per game in the SEC this year.
Yeah. Yep, they're really solid.
You mentioned Caden Green. Obviously, people know by now he was Mitchell Walters played a lot against Alabama. Coach Drinkwitz did say the reason Caden Green was pulled from that game is because of injury, not because of performance. And he's a real advocate for the players, Kyle. And
yes, he is.
We'll see. He said Caden Green is on track to be he's looking like he'll probably play. But you have to wait for the injury report.
Well, speaking of the injury report, there's a guy named Brady Cook that plays for Mizzou. We still have no idea if he's going to play.
Right.
And I guess how I'm reading the situation is like I feel like my concern coming out of the Alabama game was like we might have just seen the last of Brady Cook.
Yeah.
That still could be true.
Yeah.
But it feels like we would know by now if it was like this obvious like he broke his hand or something like that, or which was my concern. I thought he broke his wrist or something maybe.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem like that's the case. So I'm hopeful, optimistic maybe that he at least might, try to play. But I don't know. Like what do you think? Like if he was out for the year, do you think we would know already?
Seems like if the MRI came back and said like, well, if he had to have surgery to fix something, we would know and it'd be over. Mm-hmm. So the fact that didn't happen makes me feel like we might be in a week-to-week situation, and which doesn't bode well for this week. If he's day-to-day, that's kind of how he was with the lower body injury, then you give it a go and you see what happens. If he's week-to-week, then I would not be surprised if we see out next to his name when the official injury report comes out. It's obviously it's possible that it's doubtful all the way till it goes doubtful, questionable, and then he starts. We've seen that already once.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't surprise me if he's listed out. It wouldn't surprise me if they tried to give him a week or two to heal up and come back later. I don't know. I hope that's not the case. Coach Drinkwitz said it'll be Drew Pine if Cook can't go. And, Drew Pine looked bad against Alabama. But,
horrible.
Yeah, it was so
just
bad.
Like the worst.
But you watch college football. I mean, Carson Beck went out there and threw 3 interceptions against Florida. They almost lost that game.
Yeah, I think obviously that was like the worst he will ever look in a football game, and obviously like
Drew Pine,
can't really look much worse. Right. But like, I agree with you. It's college football is crazy. And
Florida in that Georgia game is like Carson Beck throws 3 interceptions. Florida can barely field a quarterback in the second half.
Right. Yeah. Drew Pine didn't know he was going to play against Alabama.
Right.
I mean, maybe he did, but he looked like he was not like prepared, like game ready.
No.
So I don't know. If he knew he was going to play, maybe he'd be better prepared. And if that's the case for Oklahoma, like I hope that they go into the week of practice knowing he's going to be the guy.
I think both teams offensively are going to be. This is going to be some bunker mentality, like ball control, field position.
Is Nate Noel supposed to be back?
I don't know. I hope so.
I haven't heard anything.
We need him.
We do.
If Brady Cook plays, I'm not going to do 2 separate predictions. I think if this could look a lot like the Auburn game, either way. And obviously the offense is not going to look as bad as Drew Pine throwing 3 interceptions if Brady Cook plays. But we can look back on the Alabama game and go, well, man, if that defense that played in that first quarter shows up, we're cooking. But also, there were plenty of frustrations from the offense while Brady Cook was out there with decision-making and, how they were handling the field position and stuff like that. So I'm going to make my prediction that stands either way. I think it's going to be a fairly low-scoring game, a little bit back and forth. There's going to be too many field goals kicked on both sides. But let me say that Alabama, I keep getting mixed up. Oklahoma takes a late lead. This is not going to be a blowout for either team. Oklahoma takes a late lead, and Missouri gets the ball, drives down the field, kicks a field goal, and wins the game 20-19. 1 point.
Oh, wow.
1 point win. A lot of field goals.
Yeah, obviously this is the game that we've had circled on the schedule for a long time.
We'll be there.
Like years even, maybe, without knowing the actual date. Like we've been thinking about this Missouri-Oklahoma matchup as SEC squads for a long time. We are going to be there, and I'm super excited.
Night game. Sellout.
Yes.
Coach said the Hill is already sold out.
That's crazy. It's going to be so much fun.
Yeah.
It might get some rain, though.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Low scoring.
Well, yeah. So obviously this game does not have the steam that maybe we originally had hoped for, but I still think it still means a lot. And specifically with like the players playing in this game, I mean, you've got the narratives going crazy, man. Yeah. Like you've got Theo Weiss, who used to play for Oklahoma. Oh, yeah. Luther Burden used to be committed to Oklahoma. Yeah. You had J.J. Hester. You have Caden Green.
Yeah.
Like there's probably more that I'm not even thinking of. For the sake of like those guys, for the sake of pride and for future recruiting battles, this game is still enormous. Yeah. And I feel like we have to take it seriously. And I don't think that's going to be a problem. But man, I want this one so bad. I don't care how the season's gone for either team. I still want this as bad as I ever did.
Yeah. And yeah, to your point, when like at kickoff, it's not going to feel like there's any disappointment for either one of these teams.
Right. Yeah.
You're not going to be able to tell that we're playing a 1-4 team in the SEC.
Right.
And you're not going to be able to tell that the fan base is down.
Yeah.
Going into this game.
It's going to feel like both teams are undefeated.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And they might as well be. I want to win.
What do you think is going to happen?
And we are going to win.
Okay. Can the offense actually do something?
I think Brady Cook's going to play.
Okay.
I don't know anything, but I think he's going to try to tough it out. If he can, I think he will. I think Missouri wins 21-17.
I like that. Drew Pine or Brady Cook, but he can't throw. Who would you rather have out there?
I guess I'm gonna have to go with Drew Pine. I guess you're gonna force me to pick Drew Pine because he can throw the football.
What if it's pouring down rain?
Yeah. If you don't throw, you can't throw an interception.
That's true. That's a really good point.
Yeah.
I don't know.
If you run the ball, then you just go all in on like going for it every fourth down.
Okay. All right. Give me Brady Cook then.
Yeah, Brady Cook with one arm.
Brady Cook with one arm in the pouring rain.
Yeah, there we go.
Against Oklahoma at night in front of a sellout crowd. Okay.
That's the recipe for a win right there.
I'm down.
That'd be a memorable one.
We're going to be there. We're going to try to get there early enough to do a little tailgating. Hit us up on Twitter if you want to come say hi. We'll try to make that happen. And we're predicting wins. Let's go beat Oklahoma. And now we're ready for SEC Pick'em plus Nebraska. Oh, and I don't even know if we have a picker yet, so this might get interesting.
Yeah, we do.
Oh, okay.
Tristan coming through.
Oh, okay.
Let's
thank you.
go.
I was worried we weren't going to have a guest picker.
Tristan always saving us.
We were late to get the message out, but
yep,
we're good. We're good. I think I'm out of this competition at this point.
Yep. See you next year.
Like UMass, there will be no statue.
Hey, they got up to like a 10-0 lead.
Yeah.
There will be no statue.
There will be nothing erected. And
it was a nice thought.
Yeah.
And we respect you for it.
Thank you. Producer Cameron went crazy. Got himself back.
He did exactly what you were trying to do.
Exactly.
Yeah. I don't know if it's going to be enough, but I'm sure as heck going to try. Recap from last week. Cam had 3 points. Kyle and the guest pickers had 6, and I had 9. That brings our season totals to Cam has 60. I have 65. Kyle 68. The guest pickers 70.
Trying to take down a whole army by myself.
That's true.
What can I do?
I realized earlier.
MSP army.
Yeah. They were kind of trash talking me a little bit on Discord, like because I suck at this game now. And I realized I could only win this competition when it was just me and you playing. Because
the early iterations
we'll
of
have to go back and see how many times I was trying to play mind games on you.
Cameron, you won in 2018, the first year we played this. You won again in 2019. I won it in 2020. And then I think at some point, producer Cameron's like, hey, I went in on this.
Yes.
It might have been 2020 that you jumped in.
Yeah, I think that was the year I was like, okay.
And then we added the guest pickers, I think, in 21. And they immediately won.
Yes.
And then I don't know what happened after that because that's the last little emblem we have on our trophy.
Yeah. I think they've won it multiple times.
Yeah, I don't think I've won it since 2020.
You do. Also, you're due for a win.
Oh, I'm due, yes.
Yeah. Also, producer Cameron said he has a system.
I thought you were going to say a sister.
He has a.
I thought he was going to say that.
That's a big family
too.
announcement. Congrats.
He has a sister. He never knew about.
It's like Star Wars style on us.
Yes. No, he has a system for picking that he said he'll let us in on, his like secret sauce.
Secret sauce to get in third place?
Yes.
Yes. Thanks, man.
No, I want to know. I want to know.
He can't tell us yet.
I did tie for a win one year, so.
Oh, okay. Tied with the guest pickers?
Yes.
Gotcha.
We got to finish the trophy.
Yeah.
What's the last year on that?
21.
So we don't have 22 or 23 on there?
That would be correct.
I don't know who won 22. Probably me.
Not me.
Well, there's no way to know. There's no audio recordings of it anywhere.
Well, anyway.
What do we got this week?
First up is Florida at number 5, Texas. Texas is a 21.5-point favorite.
Florida played Georgia close last week, right?
Yeah, but they don't have a quarterback anymore.
He blew his hammy.
Something like that.
Give me Texas.
It'll have to be Texas.
Texas all around. Texas. Next up is...
Texas, more like... What is it?
I don't know.
What's SpongeBob say?
Dumb old Texas.
Something about dumb old Texas, yeah.
Dumb old Texas, okay. Go
Just
ahead.
Derail the entire show with that.
Yeah, my brain's thinking SpongeBob now. Number 3, Georgia. At number 16, Ole Miss.
Ooh.
Georgia is a 2.5-point favorite.
I would like to go on the record
Yes.
of saying Ole Miss is going to win this game.
Okay.
They've had their ups and downs.
Yeah.
I think Georgia's a little bit vulnerable. That's probably a dumb pick the more I'm thinking about it. Georgia coming off of just give me Ole Miss.
Ole Miss is at home.
I kind of wanted to take Ole Miss.
You can.
I don't want to do it if Kyle's doing it.
I don't want to do it if Kyle's doing it. I'll take Georgia. Missouri's ranked in the college football playoff, by the way. I probably should have led the show, but oh well.
Congrats.
24th.
Dang it. This is why I say it first.
I'm onto his
I don't want to
recipe.
be influenced by
I
my
knew the
recipe.
formula already.
Oh yeah, you hacked his formula.
What'd you do, Cam? Georgia?
Yeah.
Well, the guest pickers are the furthest ahead, so I guess I'll take Ole Miss.
What do they do?
Georgia.
Cameron,
Why are we picking against Georgia?
Cameron, my mistake earlier was I thought that SpongeBob was just always in your head.
It is, but you said something that he doesn't actually say, so it threw me
you
off.
messed up the line.
I'm good for that. I'm good for that.
Cam's good for an almost SpongeBob quote every now and then.
Yeah, exactly.
He's like, yeah. I'm like, almost.
Long silence.
That guy had to think real hard.
He said Texas once.
All right. Guest pickers, Georgia. South Carolina at number 24, Vanderbilt. South Carolina is a 3.5-point favorite.
I'll take the underdog, Vanderbilt.
Yeah, me too. At home, I want to see those goalposts in the river again.
Can't do that twice in one season.
They should do it for every win now, honestly.
Probably.
I'm going to go South Carolina.
You'd love to see it. I guess pickers are on South Carolina.
Okay. Here we go.
Two birds with one stone on that one.
Maybe I should switch.
Go ahead.
Should I?
Is
that cheating though?
Wait, they're winning?
Yeah.
You can do it.
Mississippi State at number 7, Tennessee.
Hold on a second.
You can change if you want.
Yeah, I gotta go. I gotta try to catch up. I'm gonna go Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
Do or die.
They're gonna hate you for that.
That was using content creator powers right there.
Yes.
Host privilege.
Yes.
Mississippi State at number 7, Tennessee. Tennessee is a 23.5-point favorite.
Yeah, Tennessee.
I agree.
Guest pickers went Tennessee though, Kyle. So.
All right. Let's see what you're doing there.
Last and not least.
Okay.
Number 11, Alabama at number 15, LSU.
That's a big one.
Alabama is a 3-point favorite.
Then that means I'll take LSU.
LSU, please.
They're calling this a playoff game.
Are they?
Yeah.
I bet I know what Tristan picked. I'm going to go Alabama.
What do you think Tristan picked?
Alabama.
He said, and I quote, well, maybe I can't quote him. Oh, yeah, I can quote him. He said, and I quote, "Don't tell my wife."
Oh!
Tristan takes LSU.
Wow.
Let's go.
Wait, so you're on an island for Alabama?
Yeah.
Yes.
Alabama on an island? That's got to feel pretty good, Kyle.
Some movement shaking going after this week.
That's got to be the first time anybody's picked Alabama on an island.
100%.
Probably.
Wow.
No question.
No Nebraska game this week? They're on?
No, thank goodness.
Yeah, they're out of here. They're on bye.
Might as well just shut it all down.
Pack it up.
Bye every week.
You knew it, too. That
I told you
UCLA
guys.
pick was pretty clutch.
They lost to UCLA.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
After almost beating Ohio State.
All believable, in my opinion.
I keep forgetting that UCLA and USC are in the Big Ten. And so when they are playing a Big Ten game, I'm like, well, that's a weird matchup for November.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
Nope,
top
it's a conference game.
Top two teams in the Big Ten are
Indiana
and Oregon.
Oh, right. Yeah. For some reason, Oregon and Washington actually felt I was like kind of okay with that. My brain was okay with that.
Okay.
Because they're not California.
Yeah. But UCLA and USC, that makes way less sense for whatever reason.
Well, see you on the gridiron.
We done here?
See you at the football game.
Let me say thank you. Let me say a special thank you to our Patreon supporters: Britt Treese, Ryan D. Moore, Tristan, Ben Smith, Parker, Daddy, JD, Tim Keynes, Tyler Harsel, Brandon Garofalo, Brandon Hanks, Matthew Tilley, Lewis Hernandez, Joshua Jacobson, Devontae. Thank you.
Everybody that's listening, thank you so much for putting up with my voice and my antics and my coughing and carrying on.
We love the antics.
Thank you so much. And to our Patreon subscribers, we love you so much. And thank you. You can find this podcast on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. We're on Twitter at Missouri Sports Pod, and you can email us at MissouriSportsPod@gmail.com.
Thank you to everyone who's been leaving nice comments on YouTube.
Yes, thank you.
We really appreciate it.
We
You
love
can
you too.
find our t-shirts and stickers on our online shop, MissouriSportsPod.BigCartel.com.
Thank you, everyone, for listening. We will see you next week after a win.